So these are our 4 at-home assessments that we can do to see potentially why we are in pain. Now these 4 tests are all around the lower limbs because that's where we're feeling most of our pain, and that's generally where the root cause of a lot of pain comes from because that's where we're grounded into the floor. Now these tests are going to be all single limb, just so we can measure asymmetries, left to right differences, and it also means that it creates a greater demand for you to be able to stabilise the pelvis, the foot and the knee. So from here, we're going to go into our first test, which is a range of motion test. So we're going to be looking at the range of motion from where the distal end of the hamstring, so where your hamstring connects into the back of the knee. Our gold standard for this is 90 degrees. So what Harry's going to do to start with, or what me as his partner can do, is we're going to lift up one leg so your femur is perpendicular to the floor. Obviously, if you're doing this at home and you have no partner to do it, you can hold behind the back of the leg to make sure that femur stays perpendicular to the floor, isn't falling out to the side or extending out. So all we're going to do here is try and extend the shank all the way up to try and get his shank perpendicular to the floor. So there's a straight line between hip, knee and foot all the way up. So Harry there achieved gold standard. We'll do one more. It may take you guys a few reps just as you start to warm up. And that's gold standard back down. We want to do this, and relax there, Harry. We want to do this on both sides. And then we compare again these asymmetries left to right. Next, we're going to look at how his quad and his range of motion around his quad is relating to his knee. So if Harry goes into a prone position, so lying on his front. Now this is again a pass or fail test. We should be able to get our heel to touch our bum. Now for this test, again, if you've got someone with you, they can help you, or you can lean back and try and pull your heel in. But all we're going to do is, again, looking at maximal range through the knee. We're going to drive down, we're not compensating the hip, and then we're going to try and get that heel all the way to the bum. So again, Harry's pass there, he's clearly been doing his brick programming. What we may see from some people is they're either a fist or a thumbs up, or a certain level of fingers away from the bum. You'll see our testing scores alongside this, and you can see how at risk we are or how asymmetrical we are left to right with your knees. Both of these tests will repeat left and right. Next, we're going to look at our 2 strength tests. So our first strength test, Harry, if you lie on your back, we're going to do a single leg glute bridge, but making sure it's hamstring bias. So Harry's now lying on his back. We're going to extend both feet out. So we've got about 120 degrees behind the knee. That's a perfect example there. Harry's going to reach up to the sky, and like he's got road rage, creating loads of tension through his hands, always reaching tall. He's going to create a tilt on his pelvis, so he's tucking his tail in underneath him. We're going to lift his hips up off the ground, and now we're going to lift one leg off the ground. From this point here, the stopwatch starts, and we're going to hold this for a maximal length of time. If you lose tension through your midsection, if your hips start to tilt or your hamstring cramps, of whatever reason you fail this position here, the timer stops. And rest there, Harry. Again, alongside this, we have our gold standards, and we can use those to figure out where we sit along the spectrum. Next, we're going to go into our quad isometric test, and again, looking at the capacity we can generate through the quad to see how at risk we are of this being the potential cause of our injury. So we're going to go into a single leg wall sit. Now, for the purpose of this video, because we're doing it at a rack, we're going to use the rack as our wall. Obviously, if we're doing these at home, you can use any wall we want. So to start with, we're just going to be leaning, standing up against the wall, nice and relaxed, making sure our pelvis is against the wall and our shoulders are against the wall at all times. Now, Harry can feel where the bottom of his glutes sort of come in towards the wall or the rack. And then he's just going to sit down so that the top of his pelvis is now in line with that crease. Or if you're good at maths, we want, again, that 120 degrees behind the knees. Good. So this should now feel quite a strong position. His hip crease is definitely higher up than his knee crease, so it's a knee dominant movement. And then from here, we're going to go to a single leg isometric. Hands out, road rage, loads of tension, driving in, and we're going to hold this position. Again, for whatever reason, if we're losing that point of contact with pelvis on the wall or shoulders on the wall, or the other foot has to drop on the floor or we got cramp, the timer then stops. And rest there, Harry. So now you guys have done this test, what's really key is we can compare your results both left and right, but also we can compare them to our gold standards, and we can potentially highlight maybe the reasons why you're in pain, or we can at least see a journey of how to get out of pain. So what's essential now is that we have this two-way conversation. you that have just done this sort of battery of tests and the team at Brick Programming, so we can map out your journey to get you back to pain-free movement.